Today should have been the happiest day of her life. She, the Saintess whose power keeps the kingdom's sacred rose blooming, but her wedding night is a disaster. Awakening in terror, she finds the rose wilted, her Saintess powers vanished. Panic sets in. At the morning prayer service, citizens whisper her power, meant to flourish after marriage, is fading fast. Desperate, she searches for her husband, only to discover him in a passionate embrace with another woman. His rejection is brutal. He confesses his love for another, admitting he only married her for the throne. The wilting rose becomes a symbol of his betrayal, tossed aside as he declares he never loved her. The king orders her banished. Even the archbishop, who she thought would protect her, agrees. Heartbroken and betrayed, she's thrown into a carriage, only to be met with another horror. A man attempts to assault her, in her desperate attempt to escape his grasp. She ran out of the carriage, but the man pushed her off a cliff. Falling to her death, she makes a vow, if she's ever given another chance, she'd never trust in love again. Then everything goes black. She opens her eyes and finds herself back at the flower festival. The Saintess, determined to rewrite the tragic destiny of her past life, decisively rejects the prince's marriage proposal, leaving him both surprised and slightly hurt. At the bustling and colorful flower festival, a jealous noblewoman, green with envy over the Saintess's close relationship with the prince, publicly throws a glass of champagne in her face, humiliating her in front of everyone, telling her that not everyone accepts her, shattering the Saintess's naive and optimistic view of the world. Instead of breaking down in tears or lashing out in anger, the Saintess maintains her composure and grabs a nearby bucket of water. With a swift and calculated move, she douses the noblewoman and her friends, attracting the attention of onlookers and the prince, to which the flustered woman accuses the Saintess of attacking them. The Saintess apologizes sweetly and innocently, feigning concern for their safety and well-being. She then leans in and whispers to the woman that it doesn't matter if she recognizes her or not. She's still the Saintess, and technically, the woman's behavior warrants punishment. However, just as the Saintess turns to leave, the prince sweeps her off her feet, literally, in a bridal carry. Irving carries the Saintess into the castle, ignoring her pleas to be released. He kisses her passionately, then notices the scent of alcohol. He's angry and wants to know who spilled it on her. The Saintess insists he's making things worse and reminds him he already rejected him. Why does he still bother her? Irving replies,
"You think a simple no will change how I feel."
Realizing he won't give up easily, the Saintess again demands he let her go. But instead, he carries her to her room and lays her on the bed. She orders him to leave, but Irving says he's not finished. He tells her to undress, making her blush. She asks what he intends to do. He says he just wants her to change so she doesn't catch a cold. He whispers in her ear, stroking her hair, asking what she's thinking since she's blushing so much. The Saintess says she changed herself and pushes him out of the room. Alone, she wishes she could go back in time before she ever met Irving. The next day, the Saintess had tea with her friend, who was worried about the perfect couple being apart. The Saintess explained she was just overthinking things, unable to reveal Irving's true nature. Her friend reassured her, promising to always be there for her and deal with any trouble the prince caused. Girl smiled, grateful for her friend's support. As her friend left, she felt sorry because she knows she can never make up with him. A commotion among the maids interrupted her thoughts. She noticed one had cut her hand and used her powers to heal her. As the maid thanked her, Irving appeared, his
Always
voice
so cheerful,
sarcastic. He said, taking her hand and leading her to the rose garden. He told her the roses would have withered if she didn't love him, but they were blooming beautifully. The Saintess looked at the roses, remembering how they died in her past life. He insisted the roses prove their love. She pulled away, saying she didn't believe him. Confused, he asked what she meant. She accused him of only being obsessed with her because she was the Saintess. He tried to deny it, but she interrupted, asking,
"If that's not true, do you love me?"
He couldn't answer. She said that proved it. He was obsessed, and if they married, the roses would die. He grabbed her and kissed her forcefully. She bit him, asking if he thought a kiss could control her, and walked away. Back in his office, Irving was gloomy, working on paperwork. His staff whispered that he wasn't himself, probably because of the Saintess. A knight came in, asking him to sign some papers and suggesting he reconcile with the Saintess for the good of the kingdom. Irving sadly said he knew. The Saintess remembered happier times, when Irving always made time for her, even when he was busy, not wanting to lose her powers. She knew she needed to find someone to love who would love her back. Thinking about what she loved, she thought of Irving and blushed. She quickly dismissed the thought, calling herself pathetic for being fooled so easily. Suddenly, an injured puppy came out of the bushes. She tried to pick it up, but it bit her. She reassured the dog and noticed its wound. The puppy licked her finger. She hugged it, but helping the puppy drained her powers. And she couldn't heal her own bite. She asked a maid for some cloth to make a bed for the puppy. As Irving walked by, he noticed her injured finger and asked what happened. She said it was just a dog bite. Irving's eyes flashed with anger, and he ordered the knights to find the dog, making the Saintess fear what he would do. Meridiana vehemently declares that she will never forgive Irving if he harms Libel. Irving is taken aback that she has already named the puppy. Meridiana explains that the puppy is her partner now. Confused, the prince questions her understanding of the word, to which she responds, "It's someone whom you think as well as act with." Meridiana reflects that she is already exhausted from morning prayers and healing Libel, but Irving is further draining her energy. She announces that she is busy and needs to leave. Irving insists on accompanying her to see the puppy. Meridiana firmly states that she won't allow anyone who intends to harm the puppy near him. Irving counters that if she doesn't trust him, she can tie his hands. The thought of Irving with bound hands causes Meridiana to blush profusely, and she vehemently refuses. Suddenly, the puppy darts out and begins barking aggressively at Irving. Meridiana smiles, petting the puppy and saying that he came to rescue her. The puppy and the prince exchange a hostile glare. Meridiana embraces the puppy tightly, praising his cuteness. A maid arrives, apologizing for letting the puppy out. Meridiana assures her that it's fine and that she will take him back herself. Noticing how exhausted the Saintess is, Irving offers to carry the puppy back to her room. Upon reaching the room, Meridiana thanks the prince for his help and for making a bed for the puppy. Irving looks at her with concern and asks why she can't heal her own wound. Questioning if her magic is unstable, Meridiana sweats nervously, unable to respond. Irving states,
So it's true.
he urges her to stop being stubborn and to believe in his love. He asserts that if they marry, her power will grow stronger. Meridiana pulls her hand away and declares that he should stop pestering her. She will not marry anyone. Instead, she will use her love for Libel to protect the kingdom. Irving is angered that she values his love lower than that of a dog. Meridiana thinks to herself, lower? You don't even love me. Irving approaches her and asks if he can say something. If I tell you what I love about you, will you believe me? Meridiana scoffs, saying that he won't be able to.
You're not influenced by other people's opinions. I believe that strength of character is an amazing thing. I respect the way you love people, without discrimination.
Meridiana grows flustered and red, thinking that he won't be able to say anything, but his words sound sincere. She turns away, assuming that he is simply trying to manipulate her. The prince gently takes her hand and says that he is not a prince when he is with her, but simply a man.
Is this still not enough?
Meridiana finds herself confused by her feelings for Irving. Is this warmth she feels towards him truly love? A nearby book falls, startling a puppy that begins to bark. The noise snaps Meridiana back to reality, reminding her of Irving's betrayal. She pushes him away. Meridiana expresses surprise that Irving managed to compliment, but states she doesn't believe him. She points out the approaching midday prayer time and asks him to leave. Alone, Meridiana reflects that she would have been overjoyed if Irving had paid her such compliments in their past life. The Archbishop arrives, noting her increased time spent in prayer. He asks if something is troubling her. Meridiana denies it, but privately admits that her powers fluctuate whenever she thinks of Irving. The Archbishop emphasizes that her power far surpasses the other candidates, and the kingdom's hopes rest on her. Meridiana acknowledges this and continues her prayers. Other candidates notice Meridiana's struggles. A friend offers her a drink, suggesting a short break. Meridiana thanks her, but says she rests after finishing her prayers. Despite the difficulty, she is determined to fulfill her duty as a saintess for the people. A rose glows brightly in her hand. She takes the drink and collapses, unconscious. Meanwhile, Irving is busy with paperwork. His subordinate inquires about his situation with the Saintess, suggesting a gift, such as books she enjoys, would be a good way to reconcile. Irving immediately leaves and knocks on Meridiana's door, a gift book in hand. Finding the room empty and her clothes untouched, he realizes something is wrong and rushes out. Meridiana awakens chained in a basement, disoriented. A mysterious girl approaches, stating she's been waiting a long time. Meridiana is shocked to see Clarissa, a fellow candidate for sainthood. Clarissa declares her love for her younger brother as her motivation. She reveals her promise to him to become a saintess worthy of ascension. However, things didn't go as planned. Meridiana became the chosen Saintess. The brighter Meridiana's light shone, the darker Clarissa's soul became. So she decided to poison Meridiana's drink, enlisting the help of a friend. Clarissa voices her frustration. Even though her power is insignificant compared to Meridiana's, she was the second strongest candidate. If Meridiana disappears, Clarissa believes she can take her place. Meridiana pleads with her to stop, insisting it won't do any good. Clarissa takes a knife and slashes Meridiana's dress. She sneers at the Saintess, claiming her powers are unstable and she's a poor vessel. Meridiana notices a bracelet with a black rose on Clarissa's wrist, the same one worn by the girl Irving was with. Clarissa threatens Meridiana, saying the love between her and the prince is fake, and she will be the next Saintess. Meridiana retorts that Clarissa can't possibly think she can become a Saintess by harming others. Clarissa yells at her to shut up, tearing her dress further. She accuses Meridiana of seducing the prince with her body. Grabbing a torch, Clarissa declares she will purify Meridiana's sinful body with fire, throwing it into the basement as she flees. Trapped, Meridiana laments her inability to use her powers without understanding love. She cries, fearing she will die at someone's hands again. Suddenly, Irving appears, calling her name. He declares he will save her, drawing his sword to break the chains. Meridiana questions his motives, wondering if this is all part of Clarissa's plan for her, to become the Saintess and him to marry her. Irving looks confused and tells her not to talk nonsense. He shouts that no one can ever replace her. Meridiana wonders if the man who so carelessly used her would risk his life to save her. The ceiling collapses and Irving shields Meridiana with his body, getting seriously injured. He dismisses his injuries, saying her safety is all that matters, and breaks the last chain. They head for the exit. Meridiana tries to heal Irving, but her mind is flooded with memories of his words about never loving her. Her powers fail her. Irving urges her to run, saying he can't bear anything happening to her. Meridiana refuses to leave him to die. She thinks to herself that he shouldn't say such things, as it might make her think he loves her. Despite his betrayal, she can't abandon him. Finally, she manages to heal him, immediately losing consciousness. Irving thanks her and carries her out. They emerge to find knights apprehending Clarissa. Meridiana opens her eyes, expressing relief that Clarissa wasn't caught in the collapse. Clarissa angrily denies playing the victim and demands the knights seize her. Meridiana calmly tells Clarissa that since her motivation was her brother, didn't she consider the harm that would come to her loved ones if she killed the current Saintess? Clarissa tries to use her powers but finds they are gone. Meridiana takes her hand, saying that selfish love can never be true love. Irving orders Clarissa imprisoned. Meridiana is left wondering if Irving was simply biding his time, as he doesn't try to defend Clarissa. She questions whether Clarissa was truly the woman with the rose,